This week's video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Wow, good morning everybody. Well, good morning for me. I've come down to a new area that one of my viewers told me about, and it's actually not far from an area that I went to, I guess it would have been maybe a month or so ago now, in an area called Craig Bay, which is not far from where I live actually. There's these hidden beaches all along the east coast, and some of them are, they're pretty, but they don't have a lot to photograph. And then you'll come across areas like this, which is just absolutely fantastic. It has all of these sandstone, Tafoni boulders. And so I thought I'd come down here early this morning. I got up at 4 o'clock and took a quick trip down here. It is beautiful, but I'm having a heck of a time finding a composition. And of course today it's more or less cloudless skies, so the light has only lasted so long. So what I'm doing now is I took one photograph really quickly over by the shoreline there, which didn't really have any of these boulders in the foreground, or it didn't have a lot of interest. It was just a pretty scene. And the light is getting a little harsh now. So what I'm going to do is try and find some compositions now. Hopefully take 1 or 2 shots before the light gets too harsh. And then, if the compositions are good, I'll just try and come back tomorrow morning, because the light is more or less going to be the same. Actually, it's going to be the same for the rest of the week. So it's going to be early startup times for photography and late evenings. Hi folks. So I've come back to the same spot as this morning. It's I think it's around 8:30 in the evening. And I was really hoping for some evening light. The sun is setting in the right place, but it's clouded over, which I wasn't expecting. It was supposed to be clear all day. So I don't think I'm going to get any light this evening. The good news is, though, is that there's no contrast whatsoever. The light is quite flat. There isn't a lot of directional light on the side of these boulders. So it's given me a little bit of an opportunity to look around and look for compositions. This morning I had a really hard time, well, not only because it was 4 o'clock in the morning, but as soon as that sun comes up and you get that high contrast, it's really hard to see the lay of the land and the patterns that you can find as compositions. So I'm just searching around for stuff now, and then hopefully when I come out tomorrow morning, I'll know exactly where to set up. So what I'm looking at right now is I'm standing on this boulder here looking down on the boulders, and I just took a shot with the ocean in the background, but I think it might look better without the ocean. So I want to take somewhat of a pano looking down and just having the boulders and the patterns in the boulders and nothing else. So to do that, I need a wider lens, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to see what I can find. If I find something really good, then I'll be sure to set up my camera and show you my composition. Okay, none of the preset pano formats really work with this composition, so I'm just going to shoot it at 16:9 and then crop it how I want it in Photoshop or Lightroom. The thing I'm not too keen on is I don't need the water in here, up in this section here. So I'm not sure whether to include the top of this boulder, so I cut it off here, or not. I'll have to see how it goes. I do like these diagonal lines going through the frame here, and I quite like that as a pano. This might work as a black and white actually. As you can see, the light is not that directional, so even though the landscape looks quite unusual and these Tafoni boulders are really standing out nicely, it would be nice if there was a bit of directional light there, but perhaps early in the morning, I'm not sure. It's really too bad we're not getting any light right now, because that would just be beautiful. But yeah, crop that off and just make it into somewhat of an abstract, I think. Anyway, don't know until you take the photograph and play around with it a little bit.
Well, I did take a number of photographs in the not so great light, but lucky for me, the sun came out and I was able to get some really great evening light. Now, I didn't get as much direct sunlight as I wanted, but it did have a nice glow to it that gave the rock somewhat of a blue purpley look, which I really liked. I did have trouble with this composition because the water was an integral part of it, but I really felt that I wanted to just eliminate it altogether and crop it out because it was a little bit distracting. So this is the composition I came up with. I'm looking forward to going back to this area because I think I could improve on this one.
Wow, what an incredible sunset tonight. There's quite a few contrails in the sky, but it's just beautiful. I never really did get great light on the rocks, but as you can see, the light in the Strait of Georgia is just absolutely spectacular.
Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for supporting my channel and sponsoring this week's video. One of my favorite features of a Squarespace website is the ability to quickly and efficiently update a gallery or page either from a desktop computer or while on the fly using the Squarespace app from my mobile device. Loading multiple images onto a page is quick and offers the ability to change a design or page quickly and elegantly without any coding knowledge. Want to sell your products? No problem. Setting up shop is also quick and intuitive. Sound interesting? Why not head over to squarespace.com and try it for free? And if you like what you find, use the code AdamGibbs for 10% off your first purchase.
Good morning, everybody. Another fine morning on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It was actually really quite beautiful this morning for about 5 minutes. All of these clouds lit up really nicely, and I took some video. But when I went to take a photograph, it's pretty much finished. So I guess you'll just get to see video. So this morning, after yesterday's spectacular sunset, I'm hoping to get a little bit more directional light on the boulders this morning. I didn't have time to check out the images from yesterday. On the back of the camera, they look fine, and they might be, they might be good enough. But I thought I'd give it another go this morning just to see if I can, just get a bit of light. I tried to photograph this yesterday. I just absolutely love the textures in the rocks in the foreground here. The problem with yesterday is that, by the time I found this, the light was just too harsh, so the results weren't that great. Well, I think I like it better without any directional light. It has this really soft blue light quality to it, and I've included some of the ocean but not the mainland in the background. I've put on an ND filter, a case ND filter, just to smooth that water out a little bit. I've mentioned this a number of times. I find personally the textures in the ocean to be a little bit distracting. So rather than trying to capture the action, I've just dragged the shutter out and smoothed it out. So right now I'm taking a pano. I'm at 30 seconds, which is probably a little bit too long. But I just grabbed the first ND filter I could find. I could probably use something a little bit less, with less strength. Let's see here. So we're at f16, 30 seconds at ISO 200. So let's try that. set up right where there's a puddle. All right, I think this is going to be my last photograph, since the light is starting to get a little bit harsh now. I tried to photograph this scene yesterday. I really love this round boulder in the center here. Just beautiful. The thing that kind of ruins the composition for me was the puddle on the left side there. It draws you away from kind of the center of the frame. It's kind of hard to explain. And I spent a lot of time trying to compose an image without the puddle in it, because I liked this boulder on the left as well, because it has that nice texture in it. But for some reason this morning it doesn't look as distracting. So again, I'm taking a pano. So I'm including these two boulders on the left, and then this diagonal boulder on the right. And then I've cut off the horizon line. The main reason being is that I quite like the ocean, but I'm not too keen on the clouds. And also the row of houses in the background, I'm not keen on those either. So I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible. And actually the light is really good right now. So let's just, so my exposure is, I've got an ND filter on as well. So I'm at, let's try 15 seconds at f16, ISO 100. Let's see how that does. Actually, the light's great right now because the clouds have moved in a little bit, so it's not quite as harsh. But you can see that there's still directional light in there, giving it depth. All right, well, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is an absolutely fantastic area, and I will be coming here again in the future, I think. Out of the areas that I've been coming to locally, I think this is my favorite. There just seems to be more potential here for really interesting photography, especially with all these textures and rocks. And I'd love to come here at a reasonably high tide. When I got here this morning, the water was quite high, but the tide goes out pretty quick. But it would be interesting to come here when the water level was up to here anyway, and then you could kind of stand on the sidelines and take photographs from the side. Right, well, thank you ever so much. I appreciate it. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I guess hopefully I'll have a video out for you again next week. All right, folks, thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.
Those of you that would like to support my channel in other ways, be sure to head on over to kozubooks.com, where I have my third printing of Quiet Light for sale, and also Aspen, a collection of autumn images from 2020 in a small body of work called a zine. Go check it out at kozubooks.com.